either, so you could look to go something in the bot lane. But I think that mid is the aim of the game here. Akali, Cass, and Nivea, one of them at least will be open of the Cass and the Akali. So the Akali is left open. With the Yone ban, do you want to go for an Akali first pick? You might walk into something like a Sylas as an answer. WE taking their time with this pick. They could go towards the jungle as well with the Vi left open.
I like this a lot. Gives you the guaranteed lockdown and also does pair well with the Akali, which I agree with you, Jbetto, has a lot of high priority going into this Game 5. We know that Knight is capable of putting on some truly insane 1v9 performances, and then Karis, this is a comfort pick. This is a champion that a lot of people associate with him, so that comfort is hard to come by, especially in a Game 5 setting. So you gotta believe that both teams are really chomping at the bit to get an excuse to pair that one up with the rest of their team comp. BLG, though, gonna focus on the bot lane instead. Corki gonna be the lock-in. Nami is still available. This is one of the few, probably the only actual prime bot lane duo still left on the board, and BLG are gonna snag it for themselves. This means About and Erha are gonna have to get a little bit creative with what they want to go here.
Yeah, we do see the Nami finally locked in, but a combo that I'm not the biggest fan of. The Zeri comes through. It's a lot more electricity in that bot lane 2v2
Zeri
now.
Yumi.
It was
Game
Lee,
5.
right? Who played it last?
There you go.
It was a Game 5, yeah? The Zeri Yumi. Now, the reason that the Zeri Yumi popped off so much in that game is that there was nothing to lock it down. Now, this Zeri Yumi is pretty face up. The Nami is great into the Vi, even decent into the Zeri with the tidal wave. You can interrupt a lot of what WE want to do already, but you need something to lock down the Zeri. There's the Akali picked up for Knight, and he gets to go through some bans here. BLG also, I believe, have counter pick for Bin or Shun.
They do.
Which,
Going into the second phase here, my biggest concern is that lack of actual lockdown for the side of BLG. You've got things like the tidal wave, you've got things like the bubble. Zeri's never getting hit by these once, especially as the game goes on. So it feels, I mean, yeah, and you've got the Vi for Peel too. So I think now really the job for WE on these last couple of bans is just, okay, anything that they can use to point and click lock down this Zeri, ban that away. Make it difficult to get into the backline. Make it difficult to threaten About. We saw a similar game plan in game number 4 for WE not come to fruition, but this time I feel like the Zeri is so much more self-sufficient at being able to maneuver around the fights and does have the capability of actually getting out of difficult binds by herself without the assistance of her team needing to cover for the lack of mobility that something like an Aphelios had, where if he gets jumped onto, he's just instantly dead.
I want to get some thoughts on these second phase bans. We get the Malphite ban, by the way, with the Galio, the Tilia ban there by BLG.
Yep, I like it. I like the Malphite. Like Quax said, it doesn't necessarily have to be point and click, although I do think that's what BLG should go for if there is something available. It's just, the Malphite is a point and aim. It's an aim. That could be an option.
Maokai could be a good option here. I'm trying to think of other point-and-click champions with lockdown or access into the backline. I mean, Sejuani could also be something. Yeah, I think Maokai probably has to be the answer here. Very low economy necessary for this champion.
Don't forget Bin Sejuani.
Bin Sejuani would be absolutely wicked. I mean, Monki could go like the Skarner here. Well, okay, Monki actually already has the Vi, so I'm blind, but Udyr
as well
is interesting. This would be going top lane if Cube decided to lock it in, but Ambessa is also still up. Does give you some lockdown onto the Corki, so a bit of a no-you card. I say, hey, you're going to lock down my backline? I'm going to lock down yours.
I think the Jax hover is a...
Yeah.
We know you're going to pick this. I think the Jax is the pick,
That's what I was going to say.
AD threat, which BLG need, more go forward button, and it's not necessarily an instant point and click lockdown, because there's probably going to be a cleanse in Mikhail's, which is a worry, but it's lockdown.
And that's also an Udyr locked in to potentially match up into the Jax, but it's the Ambessa that comes through. And so
Udyr
we're a little
mid?
bit
Wait.
all over the place. Mid lane Udyr potentially coming out for Karis.
I mean, one thing's for sure. Akali is never killing Udyr, so I guess that denies the snowball just because you have a tank in the mid lane capable of empowered Wing anytime you try to go for a full combo onto him. But it also means that it's a double melee matchup into the mid lane, so vying for that
Don't do it,
priority
Bin.
is going to be extra
Bin.
important. Bin.
No. Jax,
Oh,
let's go, baby.
game
The
five.
Jax goes through. We're getting everything we want here. We're getting all the prizes, everything we could ask for. We've seen the Udyr mid crop up here or there, especially in NACL. We were seeing a little bit of it. But I'm very curious how these lanes are going to pan out, where these assignments are going to be. And we have a game 5 for the record books, it feels like here.
We do, and Bin on his Jax is 71-30, so this is one of his best champions. Before he was
Is
playing
it
the Scions
mid-Bessa?
and the tanks, and he
Mid-Bessa.
was associated with being this weak side for BLG. He was the side lane king. He was the Jax guy. This is the champion he made his name on, and comfort is the name of the game in Game 5, and you feel like both teams got a little bit of that here, which is going to make this match a banger and one that will determine the next representative for the LPL, the one joining top esports in the grand finals and their trip to South Korea to MSI.
It does look like it was the Ambessa mid here. So it'll be the top Udyr, which is, I believe, a pretty decent matchup into the Jax. We'll see how things go in the lane themselves, but everything on the line. All that miracle story that WE had crafted for themselves after beating BLG 3-1 in the first round comes to a head today. It's either a first finals and first international for all 5 of these WE players, or it's yet another in a long legacy for BLG. It would be a third finals in a row, and it would be a massive moment for BLG to continue their legacy. Let's get into game number 5 of Bilibili versus WE. Yeah, I'll need a little energy as well as we get the crowd going here, and we get these early paths with a first invade from Shun.
So apparently, being told here that this is the second ever mid-Ambessa into Akali in Tier 1. And that's specific, but it was Faker versus Fisher. Which is a bit interesting. I want to also talk about the Vi Ambessa combo. After Ambessa got changed, like, I guess it's like, I'll call it a nerf, where her ult takes longer to go off, like the cast time is longer. A lot more Ambessa ults have been going wide, and that's because even though it's like milliseconds, these are professional players, that's all that matters for the Ambessa ults to start going wide. This is another flash over the wall, but with Vi, oh, he just dodged the ward, very nice. With Vi, you don't need to worry about that because you just Vi ult, and then the public execution lands on top of that. So a really nice duo that we normally see Ambessa top, but this game it is Ambessa mid. I mean, I just want to know how Knight's going to do on this Akali.
Shun made it around the vision early, and he'll find a level 3 gank with the flash play on a Cube. Bramble smash back will slow him down for now. Bin's scared to go in, but no mana for Cube. He needs to get a little bit more damage down. He's trying to get Bin down. The slow is there, but Bin so scared to go forward. Can't find the kill. The Nature's Advance does come through, and or at least the counter by Monki is to steal away Shun's red side.
Yeah, I like this from Monki. It feels like it is gonna be a split map here for the early part of this game. And I heavily favor WE in that regard because not only does it put pressure onto Viper where he won't be able to leverage this 2v2 because Yuumi basically isn't a champion for the first few minutes of the game, but also it just means that About has that extra little bit of safety as Knight is spacing Karis to the moon.
Yep. Well played on the little wave, little water action in the bot lane onto Vi. But some Krugs over to the Nami. But yeah, well played from Cube. Flash spent from Shun. in that top lane play. But yeah, I think that BLG's comp, there is interactions, the Maokai and how is it going to interact with the Zeri, who has no cleanse, especially with Jax, and how well can On play mechanically. I know, and I agree with what you said, Quax, that landing these bubbles is really hard on a Zeri, but if he can land them, but I think Knight is where I want to put my eyes for the entire game. If he gets a lead, there's a bubble.
Big bubble connects. Gatling gun is firing away, but the exhaust does come through, burned by Erha there. The barrier burned from About, and the heal burned from On. So some decent summoner spells used, but it looks like WE might have that push prio, as we do end up seeing the call for the Mbessa mid. Last time it looked like 2025 for Rookie on IG.
It's been a little bit, but we'll return here for Karis. I do want to pay attention, though, to the vision that WE have placed around the top side here in BLG's jungle. It means that Shun, on the redeploy, will be spotted out by these wards. It'll just make it that much more difficult for Maokai to have that early pressure. And really, this is the timer that Shun wants to look for as this champion, because this is a moment where you have the guaranteed lockdown and the Vi doesn't. Once Monki hits level 6, that is going to be the moment where he really gets on the map, where he starts dictating the tempo of this game like he has been in all of WE's wins, not just in this series, but in the playoffs.
Now, this is a tank Udyr, which is kind of obvious with how the game started, but I was expecting more of an AP focus from Cube because there is no AP damage at all now. There is no magic damage. It is a Vi, an Mbessa, and a Zeri. And yeah, there is some magic damage from Zeri, but realistically, that's not really going to matter a ton. Against a Jax as well. This guy is going to stack armor and immune all of your attacks with his Counter-Strike and do a ton of damage. And Maokai, a champion that mostly goes AP these days, but a ton of the issues that we've been seeing in some of these games with having no real frontline is alleviated, in my opinion, by the fact that there just is so little magic damage on the side of WE.
And also, BLG's comp is full of engage, right? So even though Cube isn't going full AP, just the sheer slows of having the Phoenix stance means that you are going to be buying space. You're going to be kiting out for your AD carry. About will have a lot of room to play for in these extended team fights if WE can get superior positioning. So to me, the damage profile doesn't really matter because WE have disengaged enough to buy space where About can just keep on free hitting, keep on free firing, and chip away at these health bars granularly as the fights go on.
And this comp for WE truly does turn online once they get level 6. I mean, that's where all the go buttons are and a lot of the safety for some of their engages here. Decent amount of that for BLG as well. I was wondering if they were going to try to take prio over those early objectives in bot side because they did have a little bit of push there. But the dragon was taking a little bit to spawn, and it does look like WE are going to swoop in with the roaming capability of the Mbessa mid to get the first dragon of the game.
We've seen how important dragons are in terms of dictating who has control of this game, and WE, it seems like they are going to get on that pattern. Gonna get the first Drake of the match, and Viper on, not really able to move. Shun is on the other side of the map. I am curious if this maybe gives the green light over to Maokai to try and look to threaten the Udyr. I mean, he's got the chain vest too, so that armor coming through probably means that for the time being, you're not going to be getting through the empowered shield plus the armor that he's stacking up here in his build path.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while since we've seen... I don't actually remember when it was. Was it 2024? The, like, Udyr top meta where he was going... Where Kennick Rooken had just come out and he was stacking the shields on top of each other. And he just literally never died. Yeah, it definitely happens with an Udyr top. But... Lightning Crush.
It's a decent amount of damage and a lot of sustain there, obviously, with the Yuumi. And that's going to be a problem that BLG are going to have to deal with. I do expect Heal Cut to come through at some point. We see a little bit of focus from BLG on the bot side here. Grubs are spawning. We have a mid lane play as well. Monki can connect. There's the cease and assist, and there's that combo you talked about, Jbetto. They are just locking down Knight, but it wasn't enough to get the kill. Now it's a counterplay from Shun. He's going to use the Nature's Grasp there. It's going to come through with the Bramble Smash back into the tidal wave, but the exhaust, is it enough to take a bout down? It will be. Viper gets first blood for BLG.
And the lockdown from BLG is superior. Really good angle found there by Shun to throw down the ultimate. Even though he gets over the wall, the CC is good enough to cover the distance for the BLG bot side. They're able to join up, lay down the damage, and Viper off to an early lead in this matchup. Something that we haven't really been saying a lot throughout this best of 5. It feels like About has really had Viper's number. So for Viper to be the one coming out on top here early in game 5, a nice change of pace, you gotta imagine, for BLG, and one that is very welcome given the circumstances.
See pings out here from BLG.
Yeah, I mean, I think they realize that Monki is there, and he's going to be forced to flash over the wall just to get away from the coming advance of BLG. It's a bit tough, but he will go back and clear his entire top side of the map.
Yep. Good punish from BLG. So Monki got the grubs, and Knight did a really good job of surviving that mid lane play with the combo. But now, About, no flash, no barrier. He didn't go cleanse this game either. So I think Shun can very well revisit as soon as his ult's back up, maybe even wait till the dragon and About is significantly weaker. Something that's really interesting about this bot lane matchup is that Viper ended up going the Doran's Helm start, which a little bit less of actual damage, but it allows him to live through a lot of the all-ins.
It does. And on top of that, I feel like, you know, you're talking about the attention that Shun is likely going to be paying toward this bot lane because those summoners are down. Jbetto, I think Monki has to be extending that same courtesy to protect his bot lane while those summoners are down. Monki has done such a good job at playing around About in this early game, making it very difficult for Shun to actually have influence in that lane. He has to be putting that on here in game 5. This is a match where if the Zeri isn't ahead, you lose so much firepower going into the late game.
And I also just want to remind, like, obviously the stakes are huge for these teams, but it's also a WE who's going against some of the titans of the LPL, some of the longest standing members of success, it feels like, in the LPL. And as we see a potential look in the bot side, I do just want to remind everybody, we could bring up the lower third of the amount of titles for this BLG squad. That would be great because it is incredible. And yes, there's a couple of them there with a little bit less numbers, but the fact that Knight is at 7 and could potentially go to 8, but we still have an era of dominance from this team that could be on the brink of not even making it to finals, let alone MSI.
Yep. And we've got Dragon up in about a minute here. WE were the ones to get the Cloud Drake, start that win condition up for themselves. But since then, BLG have gotten a gold lead over to Viper. This Corki is really strong, has the Hearthbound Axe, has the Phage, has the Sheen, has the trifecta of nice little middle components to be able to have relevancy in this fight if one breaks out on this bot side river. I do also want to pay attention to the fact that Karis has opted for the Maw of Memortius.
Yeah.
So is really just making sure that Knight can't have an easy time in the laning phase, but also does mean you lose a little bit of durability against the AD threats on BLG, which is most of their damage profile.
Yeah, definitely. 10 seconds on this dragon, and About still has no flash. Shun has his ult back up, sorry. See BLG members all prioritizing pathing around the dragon. Been TP back up to the top lane, so no top lane intervention in this Drake specifically, unless Cube wants to base, but it'll just be one dragon apiece, so I'm sure WE are happy to give this up, especially with their Zeri scaling so well. I think when Mikhails comes online for Erha, that's a big point in this game as well, to be able to immune things like the Nature's Grasp. And it is Ocean Soul for our final game.
Oh, that's a big Foss Bomb from Viper doing early damage with that trifecta that you said. On was thinking about moving over there, but Monki does show his face, realizes the defense can be there, so BLG will respect it and back away for now.
Defense there from Monki, preventing any notions of a dive from BLG. They still will be able to deny at least a little bit of pressure for About here, who will miss some CS while he gets back to the lane. Resets are also desynced. You can see right as About gets back to the lane, Yuumi opts for the reset. So this will mean maybe we see redeploys from the supports to the mid lane. As Herald is up in a little less than 2 minutes, this feels quite early to be roaming for an objective, so maybe we'll see a fight around this topside river.
And I do really want to focus on some of the conditions that we're looking for here, because you might be wondering, what's going on in top lane? This is Bin's Jax. What's going on? The later game is where Jax really comes online on the side lane. And you call them a side lane king. That is something that BLG are gunning for. But I do love some of the team play, some of the map movement we've seen from WE in this game number 5 already. And they already got 4 plates in bot side.
In fact, BLG side lanes in general are pretty scary in this game. You've got the Jax, you've got the Akali in a long lane with some scaling online with that. Very scary. Obviously, the Udyr will be pretty tanky, and Mbessa is no slash on the side lane at all. Monki's here, but he's spotted on a ward.
Yep.
It'll be a 3v2. Lightning Crash used. The slowdown comes on the Viper, but the bubble will be dodged out of. Gets a little bit of damage back there. Monki was just waiting in the wings just in case a cease and desist would make the difference.
Look at this top lane matchup, by the way. I mean,
yeah.
Cube almost has this turret down, by the way. In a match against Bin's Jax, you would expect Bin's Jax to reign superior, but Cube busting out the Udyr top is kind of bringing it to its knees right now.
Yeah, in the laning phase, it's not looking too good, but again, we'll recircle back to that as time goes on in this game. BLG trying to get a little bit back. There's a TP play coming in. That's going to be the mid-Bessa coming in onto this play onto Viper. There's going to be the counter TP from Knight, as we have a 4v4 brewing in the bot side. Still no objectives to be found here, as they might be looking for a bush play on the Knight. Knight getting caught.
Nice.
He goes into the Shroud. The Nature's Grasp going to be used just in case as well by Shun.
It's a lot of fishing from both of our teams here. And BLG looking for that play in bot a little bit earlier, and Monki dissuading that, and now WE looking with a TP and a flash invested from Monki onto a play on the BLG, but Shun and Knight dissuade that. And it feels like at any point, if one of those connects, you break open the game so significantly. But I agree, Quax. This is a really strange... I agree that the Jax should do well in side lane later. But I also agree that we are really losing the side lane towers.
We are. I mean, bot lane tier 1 is going to be taken down, so Karis going to get a nice injection of gold there. The top lane tier 1 is very close to falling as well, so BLG going to try and even up the odds by taking the Tower Destroyer 3000 objective that is the Rift Herald.
Pin just took his own red buff, just in case.
I need that. Sorry, Shun, that's mine.
Monkey's going to move around.
Yoink.
TPs are available if Bin wants to join. Cube finding an angle right now into Shun, and they just all in the jungler of BLG. He will not survive, but Knight gets a big pick. Now About is firing away. Bin has finally joined, but About is going ham. About's finding a double kill, but he gets shut down by the Assassins. The Assassins, the left and right fist of BLG. Bin and Knight combining for miracles once again as they find a huge play, and there you go. Giga Bin is now activated. How do you like that, Quax and Jbetto?
I mean, About had to go in there. He had to try and refund the cooldown to get over the wall, but it wasn't enough. He gets taken down. BLG, Bin, with a crucial teleport flank there, allows them to win out on the team fight, and Knight gonna pick himself up some plates on top of the kill gold that we saw as we go into the replay here. Good initial find from WE, but then really it's Bin that makes the difference. About goes a little too far, and he just gets sandwiched between the remaining members of BLG.
Yep, finally taken down this Zeri. But I also want to bring attention over to Knight. He does so much work in this fight alongside Bin, and when we get out of this replay, you'll see not only has Bin completely fixed the gold deficit that he was stuck in, but that Knight has a monster gold lead now alongside Viper, and early in this game we set the idea of Knight needing a lead.
Pick on. Nature's Grasp comes out and denies it. Oh my god, so much damage from Viper.
Whoa.
And Shun just kills him with the sapling, the burn. It's enough to tidal wave on a 2, and Bond's gonna get a kill. Everybody's getting a piece of this one, as it's gonna be a double kill for On, and BLG have exploded this game number 5.
It is a disaster for WE. They attempt to look on, 2 on, but he is perfectly fine. I mean, there was no ult for Monki when they started up that fight, so the guaranteed lockdown of the cease and desist isn't there. They just walk into the meat grinder of BLG, both literally and metaphorically. As we get a replay here, yeah, no ultimate for the Vi. Viper is just free hitting, dealing so much damage. WE realized they were not built for this. They try to get away, but there's no point. Viper gets a bunch of gold. On even gets a double kill, so some gold for the Nami to even things out here.
Is it going to happen again? Oh my god, it might actually happen again. They might have overextended for the
over
play.
the wall.
Bin tries to find the counter-strike, but doesn't end up finding promise there. Dragon is up. BLG a little bit stronger in the moment, but it's WE trying to take control.
Now that's TP as well. He can join if he wants to, but it's actually Karis who makes first move here. And with on chunked a little too low, BLG opt to give this Dragon over. Now, Corki Nami is a duo that we... Yeah, Viper's just pushing. So this is a pretty decent amount of gold. Like 2,000 lead for Knight and Viper and a 1k lead on. Corki Nami is a duo we've seen a good amount of. And it comes online so much faster than the Zeri Yumi. You can already see that. This is the Corki Nami spike right here. The Triforce Manamoon finish. It's very similar to Ezreal. But like what I said in draft, the Nami does such a good job of stopping WE from doing anything. If that wave hits, which is unlikely with the amount of mobility, but if it does hit, you're so slowed.
Yeah. Unironically, you can use it as a zoning tool as well.
We just have to, like, there's still so much possibility in this game, but it is feeling like the grip is getting tighter and tighter by BLG. And to think of this run by BLG in this position, the fact they did shock the entire playoff bracket by losing to WE in the first round, to then making the run every single series, their life on the line, a team that just brought the highest highs back to the LPL for the first time in years. They had to trudge through the mud to make it back to this revenge match. Yep.
And proving that they do deserve to be in the finals if they win this game. And WE have turned out to be an opponent of worthy proportions. But I will say that barrier, not my favorite. Tempo barrier, like barriering for the base is great. But at 20 minutes in, when Zeri is your win condition, I think I would rather just cancel my base and have the barrier. And it didn't even work.
This is a hard game to be piloting Zeri. And I mean, we talk about the point-and-click lockdown of Shun and having that, you know, extra tool in your back pocket as BLG to get onto a bout. But then it feels like you are yourself very far behind Viper, who got so much gold off of a misplay at this exact spot that the camera is panning toward. And I hope it doesn't happen a second time. Okay, we've learned our lesson. We're just gonna Vault Breaker away.
Easy does it, but it just feels like so much pressure mounting from BLG across the map, and this is where their comp becomes so difficult to deal with. They are just gonna stick Bin in the side lane and see what they can do about it. It doesn't feel like there's gonna be much. Item spikes online here. 3 items. Serpent's Fang completed for Viper there, so even more utility out of this carry comp.
Yep, a lot of shields in this comp. Basically everybody, so it makes a ton of sense. And BLG just have control of every lane now. Their side lanes have fully come online in terms of priority. Bin's even down an item, and he's able to get priority down in the bot lane there. So that allows BLG to look at the map around Baron. It is one ward on the entrance to Raptors for WE, and the rest of it is Christmas lights for BLG. Dragon in 2 minutes, they can use this tempo that they have in topside, in the lanes, to transition it down towards a bot lane if they want to. They are a while away from Soul, but the vision control for BLG is so supreme here.
I feel like that is the one saving grace of WE, is that you have control of the Dragon, so you can give a couple of those up. You can afford to stall this game out because you have the scaling of the Zeri in your back pocket. But the way BLG are playing, where they're posturing more aggressively, where they're throwing down a Herald in mid to take down this tier 2, if you get picked BLG will probably go to the Baron. They are punishing your overextensions, punishing your mistakes, and this is the BLG we've gotten used to.
They actually got on the Viper here. They found backline access. The flash play for Monki trying to predict, but soon is going to not be enough to take down that front line. It's going to be the counterplay from Bin and Knight. The double hand. This is the punching fists of BLG. The Titanic Titans that continue to romp the league. Knight and Bin finding it in the most important game of this split so far for BLG.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that Herald take was from Viper. Maybe a misclick, but as soon as WE see that, they snap onto Viper. That's a big mistake. He lost his entire gold lead, basically. But Bin and Knight hold hands and go over the wall and take down all of WE.
Yup. The bromance of the BLG solo laners continues with that play coming up for BLG. Despite, like you said, Jbetto,
this has to be a mistake.
Early initial start. Yeah, clicks onto the Herald. I agree. That might have legitimately been a misclick, because where was he expecting to pilot that, right? You weren't charging that into the base turret at all. So, bunch of kills go the way, and then About has to flash over. This is really important, because he will not have flash for this dragon that's going to be coming up as soon as we go back to live. Knight is able to get all of these kills, and he's just schmooving on him with the Akali.
Bro, there might be a check him PC there. I don't know if that's sure. that was insane. Oh, a bubble with the tidal wave, double CC, and this is onto the engage of WE, and now they're gonna catch the support too. Monki and Erha hand in hand in death, and Cube TPs to his own. That's gonna be a quick triple coming through for BLG and straight to the Baron.
That's a Baron. That's likely a dragon. It's not gonna be soul point for BLG. But they will be denying soul point from WE, and that win condition removed.
Oh, he missed the Shuri. No, he hits it. He hits the style combo solo bolo for the golden left hand of the LPL.
Does he want more?
An unreal performance coming out from Bin in this series in general. He's had some quiet games, but has never really been out of this series. As Bin will look for Karis, as this Jax's side lane damage is there. Can't exactly chew through all of the Ambassador, but the dissuade away from the Drake is good. I think that BLG have fully hit their stride in this game. They are exactly where they want to be. And WE, yeah, Zeri Yuumi is scary and does a lot of damage, but the Nami peel and interrupt is just too much for WE to handle.
It is. And I feel like, boys, we got to have a difficult conversation now. Is before we have that conversation, Bin is looking for a solo kill onto Karis. Flash away from the Ambessa will get him out. Dragon secured by BLG, but this difficult conversation is one that 9,000 gold lead for BLG here. Game 5. The thing about dreams and the thing about miracle runs is that eventually you wake up. Eventually, you got to stop dreaming. And it feels like WE, that dream is being crushed. They are waking up, and BLG are shaking them to get awake.
Might be the pumpkin story here as WE, no matter what happens from here on out, this was a run to be remembered in the history of the LPL. From 1-13 to this moment right here, I know it means so much for them, but BLG will not be taken down 2 times by the same team here in the playoffs. They look to put their stamp here with an almost 10,000 gold lead, 26.5 minutes in, and taking an inhib in top lane.
Yep. The base crumbles. Knight is so fed on this Akali. 10,000 gold is the advantage that BLG have for themselves in this game. And WE, they have tools to send themselves forward with the cease and desist public execution combo we were talking about earlier, and About does do damage, but I think BLG at this point do more. So WE, the only thing that they can really feasibly do is bide their time and wait for BLG to maybe make a mistake and overstep and let About get some gold. But BLG aren't giving them anything. It's just a clinical game, and it might even be triple inhibitor soon. 30 seconds on this Baron.
They're looking for it. They're going to bust down the last turret here in mid lane. Get the inhibitor that comes along with it, and then they should be able to close their jaws around this bot side too. Cube has got to get out of there. Even though he is a tanky boy, BLG...
20 seconds.
our 5 damage boys.
Oh, we got the engage. They actually found Viper here. 4-man hits with the tidal wave, but BLG, they summon the white flag and they try to get out. A preemptive flash from Shun to make sure they catch distance away. It's a big pick to delay this inevitable siege by BLG.
Yep, that's the engage I was just talking about. There is these tools for WE to snap onto you when you make a mistake, when you're not quite ready for it, and Viper wasn't. Just as the Baron wears off, WE engage, while BLG are trying to look for the triple inhibitor. But still, this 10,000 gold lead remains. WE are going to need a lot more fights that look similar to that if they want to eclipse this gold back in favor of themselves. I mean, maybe we see a situation in which BLG wait out the game long enough to get sold themselves, and in which case About gets a ton of gold online. But I feel like BLG want to end the game. They can get Baron on this next play in 2 minutes, on this next sequence, and then try to end the game off with that. I don't really even think that Ocean Soul does too much, considering how much damage Knight is doing. He is one-shotting everybody, or he isn't killing them at all.
Yeah, that's the big struggle here. I mean, About has to be the central carry for Team WE, but when there is a 4-item Akali, like 3.5 if you want to count Magi-Eyes as a full item, that is up to you. I'm not sure where it really
He might have bought that in every game this series.
Yeah, I think he has. But regardless, 4-item Akali into About, no matter how fed he is, that is going to one-shot you. And so that is the conundrum, the quandary that WE have to get over, among other things. And now BLG are looking to put a bow on this game.
They might be. The siege is at hand. WE, their last breath. They need to do something with it. Bin has been pushing in the side lanes. There's super minions aplenty streaming into the base of WE. The miracle, can it hold on? It's going to be this push into the final inhib down here. That's going to be 3 inhibs down. I don't know if they're going to be able to finish the job here. The minions aren't necessarily there, but a big pick could just signal the end.
Yep. Triple inhibitor now, and this isn't even necessarily about ending the game. If WE let it happen like that, BLG will end the game. But BLG's job is just to keep WE in their base. So when Baron spawns, when this Dragon spawns, WE can never move. They have 0 vision on the map. There are some TP wards behind, but WE are stuck. They are stuck, and they're being choked out.
It just feels so tough for WE in this moment. They feel like they need to make something happen, but BLG, they don't want to give a second chance to WE, as the final rebuttal will be here from WE. A couple big hits from the rocket barrages coming through, and then the siege just continues. It's going to continue to happen as the TP comes in to give Cube a shield. They're going to try to clear these waves once again.
They are, but the waves are starting to crash. The thing is, the waves are a little bit desynced here, so WE can just kind of pick them apart one by one, but still the damage is seeping through here on those supers. One turret goes down. BLG are actually going to halt their advance for now. Dragon is up, Baron 2, BLG, the map is their oyster. And I think the big thing for them is having that siege power. So Baron probably more important at this point, given that if you get this Dragon, it's not immediately the soul.
Yep, but they get exactly what they want. They break open a Nexus turret. It's triple inhibitor. They get out Cube's TP because he uses it to fight. And as soon as that happens, Viper gets chunked down a little bit. BLG say, okay, that's what we wanted. We got what we wanted. We've pulled the tools out of you. Now we get Soul Point. And now look at how WE have to retake the map. It's slow, pushing out these super waves. They've barely got any vision. BLG all managed to reset here. I think Viper didn't, but most of these crucial members did. Spend that gold, get more wards down. Now Knight on a devious flank here.
You could look for it over the Krug wall there. Monki is going to start his back here. Oh, the Shuriken toss. As the Baron started up, Monki stops his back, and so too does WE. They're just trying to bait out any tools here around the fight, but they could also just burn it. And it looks like WE say they cannot hold. They will not defend the Baron, and they will have to retreat to their base.
This just feels impossible for Team WE at this point. I mean, Baron is going to be on all 5 members. You have so little structures still standing in this game. Inhibitors will be respawning, so that gives you a break from the super minions at the very least in top and mid. But how long is that going to last for? You can see Bin is in mid lane. The rest of BLG are on top
Tidal
side.
wave.
It's a 4-1 split, and WE are being pulled apart.
It looks like they just want to go for the end here. Ben's feeling a little bit antsy. Does have his GA available. Will ward hop away with the leap strike. Knight was pushing the side with the Baron buff here, but they got to start working on these inhibs again if they want double supers. But they pounce on the Knight. Knight is the focus, but he goes golden, and he denies any kind of return. Knight is out of the play in BLG. They might just lose a couple more members. About is starting to fire away, but Ben comes in. Counter-strike to the face, and that's a double kill coming through for Viper as well. Ben free firing away. A lamppost does truly turn into a real weapon when it's wielded by the Giga Ben. He's looking for more, but he has the GA. He's going to find the kill, and now it's only Erha that is left. And BLG, they make good on a second chance against WE. They scoff in the face of a miracle, and they stand tall against the overwhelming pressure of a lower bracket run. It's a destiny carved in front of our eyes, and BLG, for a 4th time in a row, will represent the LPL at MSI.
Golden Road still kept alive. A little bit of worries here and there about this series. The fact that WE were able to take them to 5, though, I think just making for some entertaining League of Legends where all the regions around the world are starting to wrap up their domestic leagues. It feels like the LPL just keeps on delivering bangers, gentlemen.
Yep, what a series. A great performance from WE, but BLG, after some stumbling, make it work. And some amazing drafting the longer the series went on, I think, is really where it came down to me. That draft from WE was incredibly difficult to play, the lack of damage, and BLG felt so much more comfortable the longer the series went on. They had a great game 1, stumbled a little bit, but game 4, game 5, they felt like they eased into it and they relaxed.
I gotta say also, that's 4 emblems in a row that BLG have put onto that trophy. That is terrifying. And that is something that BLG be holding near and dear as they go into the finals. But it does look like W are getting ready for their final bow. And I just have to give props to a story that will be told in the LPL, I hope, for many years to come. A story from 1-13 to making it to the lower bracket finals and having beaten some of the best teams that the LPL has to offer. This team right here needs to have eyes on it, and I expect to see a continuation of their miracle in summer.
Split 3 is going to be a really interesting topic when we eventually get to it, but for now, I mean, all the eyes are on the grand finals, but they're also on the international that is MSI, that BLG, like we have said, will now be attending. And for me, it just feels like BLG, this is a team that is so synonymous with representing the LPL, and the fact that we get to see them here again, they have not only been the goal for all of the domestic teams to beat, but everyone internationally is looking at these guys trying to topple the Kings, dethrone them, and they'll get their opportunity, but BLG are coming in hot, they're coming in prepared, and they look angry in this lower bracket run.
They do indeed. That is going to be it from us on the caster desk. To round out the day, we're going to send it over to the deskers, and thank you very much.
What a day here in our lower finals, kicking off our grand finals weekend in Wuhan. But at the end of the day, the clock strikes midnight, and that means our Cinderella story has to come to an end. WE had an incredible run throughout the playoffs, beating BLG the first time, but they could not they were not able to repeat that history here in this decisive match that sent Bilibili Gaming into the grand finals to face off against the top esports. And as you see on the bottom of your screen, Alk, they're going to get a chance to defend their international title at MSI.
Dude, I'm so excited. I'm really, really happy for these guys. I did not think... Actually, I can't even lie. I did think this was going to go to 5. We saw the predictions earlier today. I really wanted to believe that WE could do it. Even with a BLG prediction, I think that seeing WE really fight for their spot at the top 3 kind of just feels like it is a miracle run in the same way. It's sad to kind of see them fall, but I'm for sure going to be talking about them a lot more positively than maybe last split's 3rd place team.
I mean, it's very, very different, right? Like, this WE team, we can talk about how they were counted out, and I think it's fair to be like, yeah, you know, there's a little bit of, you know, magic in this run, and who knows if they're going to be able to repeat it. This is one of the greatest playoff runs in LPL history. I think, end of story, no conversation. This is one of the greatest playoff runs in League of Legends history. Them being one game away from being in the finals as a team that won one series, they won more games in the playoffs than they did throughout the entire regular season, like combined. It was an unbelievable performance from a team that was counted out, was discounted, but really got themselves together, you know, re-elevated, and just couldn't quite get past a very strong BLG team in Game 5. The fact that this went the way that it did isn't surprising. The fact that WE put up such a great performance here today, certainly nothing to be ashamed of.
And their play throughout the playoffs makes you excited not only for what the run WE had, but what this WE team can look like going into Split 3 and beyond. Specifically the bottom lane, right? This is back-to-back top 3 finishes for Erha on Weibo last year, then here on WE. About really kind of blossoming into his own right. There were some small mistakes that we saw there on the Zeri in Game 5, but I think overall you could really consider him to have a really strong performance against BLG, specifically against Viper and On down in the bottom lane. For some reason, Alk, it feels just a little bit more real that this WE team is going to be able to repeat some of that success, this time in the regular season, as opposed to last Split 3, where they definitely struggled a lot more.
Hey, who knows, right? Time will tell whether or not they can keep this form. I mean, we've already seen some of the patch changes going into the future. League is going to be changing rather substantially by the time we get into Split 3, so whatever the meta is between now and the start of the next split is going to, I think, very much heavily influence what they're able to accomplish, but can't take away what they did here tonight. Still, gotta look at the victors. Obviously, BLG coming in as big favorites, but kind of having a 5-game series. It looks close. They look like they have holes in their gameplay. I would say I'm worried for tomorrow, K-Man, but I have been burned with BLG Top Esports too many times to not predict them to win.
Look, I would love to sit here and say, oh, BLG's broken. They seem to have a lot of things going wrong with them. The consistency of their macro isn't particularly high. It's BLG in the finals, man. Like, it's so hard to say that that's not going to be the version that shows up, especially against Top Esports, a team that they've beaten regularly in the finals. But again, today certainly made that conversation a lot more interesting. A small little final note on WE potentially in split number 3. Group Ascend is wide open. Like, it is very possible that this is a top 4 team in Group Ascend coming out of the regular season, that they just kind of need to be better than, you know, a couple of, you know, the Group Nirvana teams that make it in, and then one of, like, AL or JDG. Like, if they are in the running with those teams, like, the top 5 is the expectation now after this run. Top 4, I think, is within, you know, reach. I think they obviously have a lot of ways to go. BLG want more than that. They want a championship, and they're still in a very good position to get it, but WE certainly are not completely out of it by any means.
And the way the championship points work, Split 1 doesn't mean as much as the rest of the year. So WE still in a good position, even though they couldn't make it to this specific international here at MSI. Potentially be in the conversation for Worlds if they can keep up their performance moving on. Talk about gaps in play for BLG, where there was definitely not a gap today, and really ever, is in the mid lane. The only hole potentially there for Knight is the 0 in the death column that he had for all 3 of their wins. 14-0-6 in Game 1, 6-0-14 in Game 4, 8-0-2 on the Akali in Game 5. Seems like, okay, man, whenever he gets his hands on this Akali, it's going to result in really good things happening. We saw it even in the Split 3 Grand Finals against Top Esports. Whipped that out, resulted in him winning his 7th LPL championship.
I really wanted to believe that Karis, the Akali guy, the Akali one trick, had some secret sauce cooked up with this Ambessa mid, had something under his belt, but it was not real. Knight's Akali is undeniable in terms of just what he is and what he can be. Every single time this series where Knight got a champion that he could be proactive on, he dominated. He completely obliterated this series. I was really, really impressed with the way he was able to play a lot of these team fights, and obviously he was the best player in game number 5. Knight has made a strong case for being the best player in the world throughout 2026, I think, especially with kind of the inconsistent form of a lot of other top-tier players. But if you ever needed a time for that best player in the world to emerge and show up, it's games 4 and 5 of the series down 2-1 with a finals on the line. And You know, if you need your captain to be the guy there, he absolutely was the guy. Knight was everything he was expected to be and then some.
I think just everything kind of came together. Obviously, the Annie game, people are going to look back on that and say, you know, like, where was he there? And what were the notes that we were coming out of after that massive Victor game from Karis? We asked, Knight and Bin, you are the veterans. You are obviously the long-standing members of this BLG org. You need to step up now. You need to deliver in a Game 4 and a Game 5 and reverse what is potentially the largest upset in history and not see you guys go into top 2, go into the finals tomorrow night. It was an incredible performance. I don't really want to rewrite too much of the series because there obviously were some games where I think Knight is not able to kind of push his limits and push those leads, but he definitely showed up here tonight. And just to recognize, we do have the bracket ready. This is now 4 series in a row, 4 different teams' emblems getting placed inside of the Silver Dragons Cup at the end there. You saw kind of Knight was fiddling with the medal at the end there, but 4 series now as we're waiting for player of the game. We're going to get some interviews on